Norwegian. This is show 970. And we got full moon July 2nd at 10 Capricorn. Make you more conscious of guns and police. It's about 4 degrees from Pluto. The biggie is a new moon July 16th at 23 Cancer that squares Uranus. And we have Uranus stationing July 26th. Shakings, twirlings, possible quakes, yeah. And it stations, it's real active around that time. And what's kind of scary is Saturn stations, you know, just a week later. And when Saturn stations, it's scary and you get restricted. And the worst that the Grim Reaper here does is kills by crushing. So when you see this guy who kills by crushing, and there you are with earthquakes, we're going to have to do a little work on that. Here's the way it looks. I got a chart for you. You still got your enlightenment trine here. Here's Jupiter and Venus together in the sky. They're real bright and they're setting. You know, they got about a couple hours after the sun sets. You can still see them up there, the two of them together. Jupiter's the one that's lower in the sky. Venus is above. Jupiter always has an orange cast. But see, they're sextiling down here to Mercury. So there's wonderful thoughts and things to write down, and children and words. That's Mercury is a communicator, and when he sextiles Jupiter and Venus, oh boy, lightning bolts of truth. And here's Uranus. Yes, the revolutionary Aquarian spirit. It's the people. It's common sense. And Uranus trining Jupiter is why you've had all these enlightenment, little zaps of new understanding. I certainly have. So there's more of them. You're in the middle of them. Good show. We're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as it does, it makes angles to these other planets who are just like people, and it kind of generates the mood of the times. If you're here on the Thursday night show, July 2nd, well, you get a nice sextile to Saturn. You're getting organized, huh? And the next morning the moon goes into Aquarius, and everything seems fine. Intellectual, fixed, make a plan. You're going into that enlightenment zone, because here on Saturday morning, here's the sextile to Uranus. Now, the moon opposes Jupiter and Venus. Some people are just having too good a time here on Saturday. You can't all spend it sitting under a tree being Buddha. So here's Venus and Jupiter. They say, we're not having enough fun. The kids are happy. You know, they're with Uranus and Jupiter. So there's a lot of enlightenment here on Saturday with the moon in Aquarius. Not so much, you know, the sweets and the sexy stuff, though. Sunday, July 5th, the real day the U.S. begin its chart, is moon in Pisces. And as you go through the day Sunday, it gets increasingly sensitive as the moon conjuncts Neptune here, you know, after dinner. And we're all thinking a little like Jesus, like the artist, like the priest. Music, art. This is a time for religion. You got nothing else to do, sit under a tree and read what Jesus said. When he says heavens, put sky in. That's the real translation. Anyway, this is a wonderful time here of Neptune, the higher heart. That's what it is. It can be a little confusing. Yeah, watch a little bit. But Monday morning, boy, there's a sextile to Pluto. Everybody's happy with that. Yeah. Now, you know that Neptune's been acting up in the last month because the full moon squared, you know, the old priest, doctor, artist, musician. So when the moon goes by there, you might expect some lunacy like before, but no, because on July 2nd, you had a full moon at 10, Capricorn, right over here, sextiled Neptune. So Neptune is now spruced up, ready to go. The new moon here was near Pluto, discovery, new music, new higher heart, new understanding of things. So this is really going to be the music, art, religion, color kind of stuff for a month. Neptune's going to be, you know, everybody's going to like Neptune, whereas the last month they didn't. Okay, Monday, you got nice trine to the sun, and sextile to Pluto, and you got a plan, and you're getting the job all set up, and it feels pretty good. Little communication problem Monday night, the 6th. But here's Tuesday. The moon goes into Aries, and it starts by getting organized in the morning with a trine to Saturn over there in late Scorpio. Well, you're still in Pisces. As soon as the moon shifts from Pisces into Aries, it gets mean. Here's a square to Mars Tuesday night. Here's a conjunction to the South Node. I need help. Here's Mars ticked off. Everybody's angry. Ask yourself what you're protecting. Doesn't get any better as you go through into Wednesday. Moon still in Aries. Starts early with a panic trip as the moon squares Pluto. Eek a bug. Eek a policeman. Eek a gun. Then a square to the sun. Here's men getting in trouble. Don't tell me what to do. And finally there's a conjunction to Uranus, which happens about dinner time, and everybody feels zappy and alone and different and weird. And then it all changes. Fickle planets. Because here is the trine to Jupiter. After you hit Uranus, there's a consciousness change required here. You have to realize all these irritations and stuff was your old conditioning. If you drop your old conditioning and all the crap you learned in school, just be a brother to and a sister to everybody, bang, you're in the Aquarian age, and you're going to laugh. Because you're going to trine to Jupiter and to Venus, and there's some bliss, and there's some laughter, and there's some goodies here Wednesday night. You make that change of consciousness. It continues into Thursday with the moon going into Taurus. And on the 9th, Mercury's happy. Nice communication. The kids are there. Here's a sweet sextile to Neptune. It's actually 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, the 10th. So when maybe you stay up late Thursday, and you get up early Friday. The birds are beautiful. The colors are up. The higher heart is there waiting for development. And development comes along too. Breakfast up to lunch. Here's the trine to Pluto, discovery. Pretty nice time, moon in Taurus. Friday night, the 10th, late, this is midnight. There's a nasty old square to Jupiter. We're trying to do too much. The result is probably Saturday morning. Here's a square to Venus. Can't get no rest. There's no sex. There's no sweets. We overdid it. I ate too much and I couldn't sleep. That's one of my biggest sins. Whew. And here's Saturn. And here's the opposition to Saturn. I'm not going out. You got dragged down in the middle of Saturday, the 11th, because of all the stuff you did Friday night and Saturday morning. Gluttony triumphed. Sunday, the moon's in Gemini, and there's a square to Neptune in the morning. So there's confusion about this religion, art, music stuff. It's not as easy as it should be. Just because it's Sunday doesn't mean it's a day when religion works. No. Anyway, those are the ups and downs of it. Here's your new moon up ahead. 12th, 13th, 14th. At the 15th, you had a new moon at 23 Cancer. And I'm going to talk more about that as we go along here. See, because remember when Neptune stationed? And we looked it up to see where he was going to act up, and found Neptune at the top of the chart in Hawaii, and Neptune at the opposition to the rising, in New York. Remember that? Here's the astrocartography. Okay, here's the astrocartography for June 2nd. Now, Neptune stopped on the 12th, I think, and stationed. See the Neptune line on the midheaven, the top of the chart, runs right down there, just offshore from Hilo. Clearly impacts the Hawaii chart. Neptune at the very top of the chart. And you look over here. Here's another Neptune line, and that one runs up here. This is Neptune on the descendant. The 7th house cusp. See, it runs up through north, and that right up there was the other place where Neptune's on the 7th. That's a person. That's a Neptune person. I thought it'd probably be somebody running around with white powder or something like that, but it turned out to be Two escapees, huh? Okay, here's Neptune in a very public way. Everybody knew this was going on. Pictures all over every place. Okay, here's the way the chart looked, at least in Kona. And you see Neptune up here at 9, squaring the moon, money people, and squaring Mercury. They blocked the road, and squaring the sun. Those guys couldn't get up. It was all about that little strip of asphalt running up the mountain. And Mercury, you recall I said whatever happens, you know, I'm afraid if there's water damage, they have to block the road somehow, I said. Who'd ever thought it would be wonderful Hawaiians dressed all colorfully, blocking the road. Whoa. Neptune is a strange bird. Now these two are the Neptune, two fish, huh? Okay, here's the same chart. Neptune is opposing you as Eek, a Neptune, two fish out there, hard to find them, huh? And again, Neptune squares Mercury, and they can't go out. And every time they go drive, there's police stopping them, looking through their trunks. It's hard. They don't want the kids to go out. Squares the moon down here. They're worried about their homes, you know. Yes, and their friends. And Neptune has thrown them in a tizzy too, all over that upstate New York area. Squaring Mercury. Two different kinds of results entirely, huh? Here's something entirely different. A client sent me this neat hand-drawn. These are dirigibles, not blimps. Look at the size of the cabins under them. Because I remarked that, you know, the U.S. had made a big mistake because hydrogen, you know, because one dirigible went down, it didn't kill that many. All the flames went up. They said hydrogen's not safe. They had to do helium. Helium costs a lot of money. You can't make it easily. The U.S. government has huge stockpiles of helium to put up in barrage balloons since World War II. Anyway, the EPA is going after the airlines, and I hope they do. That's bugged me ever since I got my environmental degree. And then I found out the other day, Boeing put on a commercial and said, you know what the product that we export the most is? Jet aircraft from Boeing. That's our biggest export, folks, from the U.S. to the world. So look, these are gas guzzlers and polluters. You fill up a dirigible with hydrogen. Furthermore, this guy said, John, here's the Zeppelins of Germany, patented in 1895. Wonderful flights, many wonderful flights before World War I. Over 1,500 flights from 1895 to 1914. No accidents, huh? Civil transport, really cheap. They buzz along at 70, 80 miles an hour. They actually used them a bit to bomb London during the war, always at night. Anyway, we need more of these folks in the Aquarian age. There's no sense running around at 600, 700 miles an hour and burning all that up and adding to global warming when you can do this and have a more genteel ride. Hey, can we talk birthday parties? Okay, here's the solar return. What's the solar return? Well, let me start from the beginning. Once a year when you have a birthday, it's not actually your birthday, it's when the sun, you know, comes around and goes to the place where the sun was when you were born. The next 24 hours we call a solar return, solar, the sun returning, and what happens in the next 24 hours tends to happen in the next year in the same proportion. So let's say you're on your solar return and halfway through it, somebody gives you a bunch of money right here. Well, if they gave you money here in the 24 hours, 6 months into the year, you're going to get some money, see? So a birthday party is actually a magical ceremony. And here's a quick rundown on it. Back in the days of yore, The main people that knew their actual time of birth were the gentry, the aristocrats, the kings, the princes, the queen. When somebody rich was going to have a baby, you know, they would call in the astrologers, and you'd see in paintings these guys back in the shadows when the queen was having her baby, and these guys got hourglasses, and they're watching very carefully to see when that baby takes the first breath, because that makes the birth time. Now, it would be really easy if your birth, like if we had the 4th of July and the U.S. government born at 6 p.m., if it was 4th of July 6 p.m. every year, but it's not. The problem is something called precession. The whole star field moves by precession, and it moves 1 degree roughly every 72 years. So because I'm now 74 years old, instead of my birthday being January 16th, January 17th. So you have to calculate this kind of carefully. Now, the real birthday of the U.S. government is July 9th, the solar return. In Washington, D.C., it starts at 8:57 a.m. and goes around till January 10th at 8:57 a.m. So let's go back to the Queen is having her baby, okay? And they know the exact time. So they have the rising sign and the exact time of these rich people who could afford it. So, yeah, they know when the solar return started. So if the king had his solar return on July 9th, everybody in the kingdom had to take a day off and bring the king money and food and jokes and entertainment, so that the king had money coming in and he was happy all day. That meant the king would have money coming in and be happy all year, and the kingdom would prosper. So this is the original birthday party. That's what a birthday party is. It's a magical ceremony to affect the coming year. So most of my regular clients call me on the phone and say, Raleigh, when's my solar return start? And I put it in the computer and I tell them, well, lots of times it's the next day, and I give them the exact time so they know when this 24 hours happens. And now here's the kicker. If you have a really bad one, yes, a really bad one, then you can move your location. Yeah, change your location. And it changes the chart. The classic was when my son Michael had a solar return on Kauai, and he's born September 12th, and it was terrible. And I said, no, we can't stay here, it's dangerous for the kid. So I couldn't go very far, I didn't have much money. So we got on a plane and we took little Michael over to Hilo's, far away from the west side of Kauai as we could get. And we had no idea what was coming. No, we sat in the hotel room to celebrate the kid's birthday, his solar return, and we watched Aniki go right over our house. There's little Michael. We had to get him out of there after we returned and saw what happened, because there was lead all over the environment. Anyway, we weren't there. No, Aniki went over and trashed both of my little cabins I'd worked so hard on, and we weren't there. We stepped aside. So one of the tricks of the trade is, if you've got a really bad solar return, like my last one, I had to go to Colorado, and then it changes the chart because your location changes. And so a lot of the kings and queens of England, for instance, have their birthdays in odd places. It's on the advice of an astrologer who says, look, if you stay there in London, it's going to be this. If you move to Nottingham for your birthday, it'll be more like this.